We're getting different versions about what Bridge Guy looked like, but we've got Bridge Guy on video. So what does it amount to? A hill of beans or confusing the jury? Now think about it. The one witness says she thought Bridge Guy was wearing a mask, but if you look at him, he's pushing his face down into his clothing. All right, see that? Is that where she got that from? At one point, did he pull his clothing, his shirt up over his mouth or nose? And listen to this.
Betsy Blair said she had been out walking the trails the day that Libby and Abby disappeared, and after hearing about the girls, spoke to police about what she saw that day. Blair was asked to help them create a sketch of the man she spotted near the bridge. She said the man had brown, poofy hair and described him as looking younger. She didn't recall him having facial hair. Betsy Blair says she was about 50 feet from Bridge Guy and says she thought, due to his posture, that he was looking for someone.
Straight out to Dr. Bethany Marshall, renowned psychoanalyst and author of Jailbreaks. She's on Peacock now. Dr. Bethany, I guess the name Ted Bundy rings a bell. Do you remember how he lost an incredible amount of weight so he could escape through a vent? But he changed his appearance. We saw Scott Peterson change his appearance, growing a goatee, much as Richard Allen has done. Dyeing his hair. We see Brian Kohberger charged in the quadruple murder in Idaho of 4 University of Idaho students killed in their own beds. We see him changing his appearance. We see this guy, Richard Allen, changing his appearance, losing a huge amount of weight and growing a goatee. Anything to separate himself from being the Bridge Guy. Hello? And of course, I expect eyewitnesses' versions to differ in some ways.
Absolutely, Nancy. But of course, he confesses many times in jail. So once he's incarcerated, he does not try to remove himself from the story. So what I think is happening is that he's changing his appearance so he won't be incarcerated, so he can go out and commit more crimes, right? This was his moment of glory in his life when he killed these 2 girls. He had been thinking about this for a long time, perhaps fetishized the box cutter, fetishized the gun, had a rich masturbatory life leading up to this. And now that it's over, he wants to be out and on the loose. He wants to practice what he's learned through this crime.
High-profile lawyer Philip Dubé joining us. Phil, if you could, take off your defense hat just one moment and just tell me, I've seen it many times in the cases I prosecuted. When you've got eyewitnesses, the defense knows they're going to take the stand, the defendant will try to change his or her appearance. I've seen it over and over and over to make it more difficult for the eyewitness. And when you look at Bridge Guy, who we now know that Bridge Guy is the killer, he's the one that said down the hill, the more he can differentiate himself from that appearance, the more difficult it will be for the witnesses. And you see how Bridge Guy's trying to cover his face. All you can see is here to here.
Yeah, and it's quite common. I mean, obviously, people want to conceal their identities, particularly when they're going to commit a crime such as double murder. Now, to be devil's advocate, there were an awful lot of people out on that remote bridge that day. The prosecution will have you believe that he's just out there skulking about looking for the right opportunity to kill 2 girls. Whoever did this was a very unplanned attack because there was no way to know that Abby and Libby would even be out there that day. So at best, this was a crime of opportunity.
Unless you had been following them on social media.
Sure. But then that means you would have to take the day off from work and decide just to hang out on a bridge and just wait for the right moment. I think that is a bridge too far, no pun intended.
Guys, what are we learning? Now we hear the defense is trying yet again to bring in the theory of Odinism, that the real killer worshipped Thor and Odin, the mythological Norse gods. Is that true? Dave Mack, is that true? The defense is trying again to bring in Odinism as a defense?
They are, and they're actually using testimony from the crime scene investigator about the sticks and branches, saying that that was actually put there as a sign. Even though they were just thrown on top, they're trying to use that as their reason for bringing the Odinism argument back in.